Hi, everybody. Today is Thursday, July 10th, 2025, and our friend Alex Krainer is back with us. Welcome back, Alex.
Thank you for having me, Nima. Good to join you again.
Everybody's waiting for us to talk about what's going on in the United States with Donald Trump. And again, he came out talking about that all Putin says is somehow is nonsense and he doesn't deliver anything during the talks we have. Nice. Every time I talk with him, he's so nice, but nothing coming out of that. And here is Alex what Donald Trump said.
War that was a war that should have never happened, and a lot of people are dying, and it should end. And I don't know, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. For you want to know the truth, he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
Do you want to sanction him? Lindsey Graham has a sanctions bill on Russia. Do you want him to move ahead
I'm
with
looking
that?
at it. Yeah, no, I'm looking. The Senate is passing and passed very very tough sanctions. But yeah, I'm looking at
Can
it.
you sign that?
It's an optional bill. It's totally at my option. They pass it totally at my option, and to terminate totally at my option. And I'm looking at it very strongly.
Yesterday you said you want to see.
Alex, what's going on? How can we make sense of what's going on in the United States?
Nima, before I say anything, what was the bill that he was referring to? I missed that. The bill that was totally in his option.
It was the bill of Lindsey Graham, the sanctions against
Oh,
Russia.
right. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I find it very difficult to take anything Donald Trump says seriously. And not because I don't take Donald Trump seriously, because his rhetoric is all over the place. It's one day it's black, next day it's white. Um, it's bait and switch nonstop, and so I'm trying to actually ignore the rhetoric because, one day he sets everybody's hair on fire on the left, the next day he sets everybody's hair on fire on the right, or everybody all together. I'm trying to focus on what is the administration's actual policy, looking longer term, and how they're trying to achieve it. And so everything that's going on now is very difficult to judge other than by things as they evolve. And so I pick up on uh, all this talk about, his last call with Putin and how he wasn't happy. And then Putin throws a lot of bullshit at him. He's nice, but it's all meaningless. I think that's all for domestic consumption. I don't think that Trump can say like, oh yeah, Putin and we totally ganged up on everybody else and we're doing something very different from what everybody else thinks. So he has to make this pretense of pressing Putin and pressing for this and that, going with the keylog option, pressing for, how do you call it, unconditional ceasefire. I think that the Russians, Putin, Lavrov, and everybody else have told the American representatives, Witkoff and Kellogg and Trump himself, that there's not going to be an unconditional 30-day ceasefire. So they all know it. So this whole theater about, oh, we're pressing, but the Russians are bad, they're just not stopping. I think this is all for, nobody is that stupid. I think it's for domestic consumption, and it's probably to pacify the side of the political spectrum that still harbors hope that Project Ukraine can be rescued somehow. It cannot be. But Trump can't come out and have a high five with Putin and say like, yay, you won and now we're going to be best friends. I've read some interpretations where the Russians' recent advances, among other things, they took full control of the Shevchenko lithium deposit, which is apparently one of the natural resource deposits that Volodymyr Zelensky was trying to sell to Trump, or did sell to Trump, turned it over to the United States. I don't think that's relevant at all. I think that the deal between Putin and Trump is that Russia welcomes the United States to jointly develop all these resources, including resources in Russia. That's been talked about. Vladimir Putin has pretty much said that explicitly. Trump heard it. And I think that they have that mutual understanding, except, it's going to be on Russia's terms, which means that it's going to have to be mutually beneficial rather than the United States dictating terms and saying, we'll give you 2 cents on the dollar and be grateful that we're doing any kind of a business with you at all. So rhetoric for domestic consumption is best ignored in order to avoid brain injuries.
Alex, here is, you mentioned the way that we can understand somehow the behavior of Donald Trump. Here is what he said about sending weapons to Ukraine. Let me just play it for you.
You said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet.
So who ordered the pause last week?
I don't know. What did you tell me?
I think that's a question.
Yeah. It's somehow unbelievable what's going on in White House. And many people are asking at least with the Biden administration, we know that Anthony Blinken and Jake Sullivan were running the show. when we had the, I don't know, who was the woman who was the main actor in Ukraine.
Victoria Nuland.
Victoria Nuland was fired in those days, and we know who was running the show in the Biden administration. But right now, it doesn't seem that we know it. Look at Rubio. Do you think that Rubio is in charge? I don't think so. That Rubio has any sort of. Your take on that? What's going on? J.D. Vance is somehow, he disappeared from the scene somehow in the last week and these days, recent days.
Well, he was in the meeting with Netanyahu, but that meeting didn't go especially well. And then apparently Trump stormed out of the meeting, and there was no joint press conference. There was, we don't really know what happened, but something didn't go quite right. So J.D. Vance was there at least, so he's still coming to work every day apparently. But yeah, I'm at a loss. I have to say I'm at a loss, Nima, and I did read about how playing dumb can be very effective in certain complicated political situation. And I wonder if Trump isn't doing that, because I find it just very, very difficult to believe that he is dumb. By all accounts, he doesn't come across as a deep philosophical thinker. He's obviously not, the most eloquent person in the world. He often shows shocking ignorance about certain things in the world, but I think that he does know what he wants, whether that's right or wrong. And I think that what he wants is to consolidate power at home in his hands, and he wants to change the course of the United States away from being the global cop and to doing business with other countries. Now, Does that mean that he's a perfectly nice guy and that he's going to, magnanimously turn over the advantages, the playing cards that he has with various nations in the world, that he's going to give it all away and say, okay, we start from a blank slate and we're going to be really nice and we're going to do everything on mutually agreed terms? I don't expect that he will do that. He will probably try to take best advantage of any situation that he can. But I do think that he is disentangling the United States from the imperial role. And I see that, I'm not the only one who has arrived at that judgment. And I see that the Russians definitely give him the benefit of the doubt in this respect, and that they talk frequently, they talk regularly, the contacts are ongoing. Each side has a lot to offer to the other side. Each side has the same basic adversaries in the world as the other, meaning the global empire, which is what I call the global empire is basically the network of vested interest that is using the United States and certain other countries in order to consolidate their power over the world through proxies, like Ukraine, like Israel, but it comes at a huge cost. And every empire through history has paid very dearly for the maintenance of the empire, because the benefits of empire accrue to this very narrow network of vested interests, while the cost is borne by all. And the cost is usually much, much greater than these people's benefits. So they have to ultimately be resorting to dirty games, political assassinations, color revolutions, and all of these things in order to make sure that everybody's carrying water for them. But the farther this juggernaut goes, the more obvious the game becomes, and the more obvious the cost becomes versus the benefit. And we see today that the European Union, which is part of this empire, the Great Britain, which is the home turf of the empire, and the city of London is the strategic and spiritual headquarters of the empire, and the United States and Canada and Japan and all the countries that are allied that are actually vassals to this empire, they're all becoming increasingly depleted. They're all in catastrophic fiscal conditions. Their economies are disintegrating, Germany included, right? And so it's no wonder that there's a quiet but broad-based opposition to this. And who's the leadership? Who can you count on to lead? I think you don't have too many choices, and your choices will fall back on Russia and China primarily, and then Iran. And so, Trump is talking to the Russians. He may play this like, oh, the Russians are full of shit, they're playing us around, but he's talking to the Russians, unlike Biden.